21:34. They're ahead of me. Here we go. Still pulling. Let's see if we can fix that. I can't move my head to the left. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Here we go. Numbers 21:34. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not be afraid of him, for I have handed him over to you, along with all the people in his land. Do the same to him as you did to King Sihon of the Amorites, who ruled Heshbon." And Israel killed King Og, his sons, and all his subjects. Not a single survivor remained. Then Israel occupied their land. 22:1. Here we go. Then the people of Israel traveled to the plains of Moab, camped east of the Jordan River, across from Jericho. And here we go. This is like showdown time here, okay? This is right across from where the promised land is, the land of promise. Balak, the son of Zippor, the Moabite king, had seen everything the Israelites did to the Amorites. And when the people of Moab saw how many Israelites there were, they were terrified. The king of Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This mob will devour everything in sight, like an oxen devours grass in the field." So Balak, king of Moab, sent messengers to call Balaam, what's this, son of Beor, who was living in his native land of Pethor, near the Euphrates River. His message said, "Look, a vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt. They cover the face of the earth and are threatening me. Please come and curse these people for me, because they are too powerful for me. Then perhaps I will be able to conquer them and drive them from the land. I know that blessings fall on any people you bless." Now here's a guy named King. He's Balak. Balak is going to this prophet named Balaam, and he says, "I need you to curse him." He said, "I know that blessings fall on any people you bless, and curses fall on people you curse." Balak's messengers, who were elders of Moab and Midian, sent out with money to bribe or pay Balaam to place a curse upon Israel. They went to Balaam and delivered Balak's message to him. "Stay here overnight," Balaam said. "In the morning I will tell you whatever the Lord directs me to say." So the officials from Moab stayed there with Balaam. That night God came to Balaam and asked him, "Who are these men visiting?" Like he didn't know. "Who are these men visiting you?" Balaam said to God, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me this message. Look, a vast horde of people have arrived from Egypt, and they cover from the face of the earth. Come and curse these people for me. Then perhaps I will be able to stand up to them and drive them from the land." God told Balaam, "Do not go with them. You are not to curse these people, for they have been blessed." The next morning, Balaam got up and told Balak's officials, "Hey, go on home. The Lord's not going to let me go with you." So the Moabite officials returned to King Balak and reported, "Balaam refused to come with us." Watch this. Now, then Balak tried again. Now, Balak represents a heathen king, okay, a bad system, a world system. Then you have Balaam representing the prophet of God. Balak going and saying, "Hey, I'm afraid of these guys basically, but I need just, I recognize I need I can't beat them naturally. I need some supernatural. If you will just curse them, this thing's over." Well, Balaam comes back to the messenger, hearing from the Lord, says, "I'm not going with you all." What's this? He tried again, didn't give up the first time. This time he sent a larger number of even more distinguished officials. And remember, he tried to bribe him, give him money, and Balaam would take the money. Even more distinguished officials than those he had sent the first time. Now he's sending higher level diplomats. They went to Balaam and delivered this message to him. "This is what Balak, the son of Zippor, says. Please don't let anything stop you from coming to help me? Look, I'll pay you well and do whatever you tell me. Just come and curse these people for me. But Balaam responded to Balak's messengers. Even if Balak were to give me his palace, listen to this. Even if your king Balak were to give me his palace filled with silver and gold, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of the Lord my God. But stay here one more night, and I will see if the Lord has anything else to say to me. Isn't that weird how Balaam's kind of testing God a little bit? He's already told him no. He said, well, can you imagine the first time he gave him a little bit of money? He said, no, I'm not going to do it. Second time he said, I'm going to give you a lot of money. And he said, I'm not for sale. But watch this. That night God came to Balaam and told him, since these men have come for you, get up and go with them, but only do what I tell you to do. Now he's going to teach him a lesson. So the next morning Balaam got up and saddled his donkey and started off with Moabite officials. But God was angry. Now watch this. God was angry that Balaam was going. Didn't he just tell him to go? He just said, go back to that couple scriptures earlier. That night God came to Balaam and told him, since these men have come to you for you, get up and go with them, but do only what I tell you to do. So the next morning Balaam got up and saddled his donkey and started off with the Moabite officials. But God was angry that Balaam was going. So he sent angels to the Lord, the angels of the Lord, to stand in the road to block his way. As Balaam and two servants were riding along, Balaam's donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. Look at this. The donkey bolted off the road into the field, but Balaam beat it and turned it back into the road. See, Balaam didn't see the angel of the Lord, but the donkey did. Then the angel of the Lord stood the place where the road narrowed between two vineyard walls. That's what get tighter. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it tried to squeeze by and crush Balaam's foot against the wall. Balaam beat that donkey again because he don't see the angel of the Lord, but the angel of the Lord's there. Then the angel of the Lord moved farther down the road and stood in a place too narrow for the donkey to even get by at all. Excuse me. This time when the donkey saw the angel, it lay down under Balaam. In a fit of rage, Balaam beat the animal again with his staff. Now think about this. The donkey obviously represents an animal that's transporting a vehicle, and it could be anything. It could be your life. There's something that's transporting your life, transporting you in your life, and you can't see where it's going. You can't see where you're headed. You can't see it. But the Lord's trying to get your attention, so what he'll do is he'll allow that vehicle, that transportation mechanism, to derail, and then you're going, well, this is crazy. You get mad at the vehicle, or the transportation. Next thing you know, you're back over here, and it gets tighter and tighter. Anyway, in other words, you got a job, you're working a job, you're headed on that job, you're heading on this plan, and it gets worse. And then you're going, my God. Well, the job might see something that you don't see yet. And it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. You end up with a girl or a guy that you shouldn't be with. It could be a donkey. Mm-hmm. Okay? It could be that transportation mechanism that's taking you down a path that you shouldn't go. A friend comes in your life, shouldn't be in your life. That friend is a vehicle. What? To get you where you're not supposed to go. So that friend ends up taking you down a narrow place, and you get warnings along the way, and finally you get mad at the friend, but in reality, it's not the friend. You shouldn't have been going on that road anyway. Am I talking to anybody today? This time when the donkey saw the angel, it lay down under Balaam. In a fit of rage, Balaam beat the animal again with his staff. Now watch this. Then the Lord gave the donkey the ability to speak. Yeah. What have I done to you that deserves you beating me 3 times? I asked Balaam. It asked Balaam. You have made me look like a fool, Balaam shouted. To his friend, to his job, to his spouse, to whatever. You made me look like a fool. If I had a sword with me, I'd kill you. But I'm the same donkey you have ridden all your life, the donkey answered. Have I ever done anything like this before? No, Balaam admitted. He's talking to a donkey. I mean, we can't just overlook that piece of it, you know. This is an animal he's talking to, and the Lord let the animal speak. I mean, come on. This is like a Disney flick or something. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the roadway with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam bowed his head and fell down on his face on the ground before him. Why did you beat your donkey those 23 times? The angel of the Lord demanded. Look, I've come to block your way because you're stubbornly resisting me. 3 times the donkey saw me and shied away. Otherwise, I would certainly have killed you by now and spared the donkey. Then Balaam confessed to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned. I didn't realize you were standing in the road to block my way. I will return home if you're against my going. Well, he already knows he's going. He told him not to go, not to bless him. Then he told him to go because he was going to show Balaam a lesson. But the angel of the Lord told Balaam, go with these men, but say only what I tell you to do. So Balaam went on to Balak's officials. Now watch this. Now it's a showdown. When King Balak heard that Balaam was on his way, he went out to meet him at a Moabite town on the Arnon River at the furthest border of his land. Didn't I send you an urgent invitation? Why are you so late? He said. Why didn't you come right away? Balak asked Balaam. Didn't you believe me when I said I would reward you richly? Watch this. This is so good. Balaam replied, look, now I have come, but I have no power to say whatever I want. I will speak. In other words, he really wanted to curse him because he wanted that money. You see that? Look, now I have come, but I have no power to say what I want. I will speak only the message that God puts in my mouth. Even though I might want to do it for all that money and riches, I can't. Then Balaam accompanied Balak to Kiriath Huzoth, where the king sacrificed cattle and sheep. He sent portions of the meat to Balaam and the officials who were with him. The next morning, Balak took Balaam up to Bamoth Baal. From there, he could see some of the people of Israel spread out below him. Then Balaam said to King Balaam, build me 7 altars here and prepare the 7 young bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice. Balak followed his instructions, and 2 of them sacrificed a young bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, stand here by your burnt offerings, and I will go to see if the Lord will respond to me. Then I will tell you whatever he reveals to me. So Balaam went alone to the top of the bare hill. God met him there. Balaam said to him, I have prepared 7 altars and have sacrificed a young bull and a ram on each altar. The Lord gave Balaam a message to King Balaam. So he said, go back to Balak and give him my message. Balaam returned and found the king standing behind his burnt offerings with all the officials of Moab. This was the message Balaam delivered. Balak summoned me to come from Aram. The king of Moab brought me from the eastern hills. Come, he said, curse Jacob for me. Come and announce Israel's doom. But how can I curse whom God has not cursed? How can I condemn these who has the Lord not condemned? I see them from the cliff tops. I watch them from the hills. I see people who live by themselves, set apart from other nations. Who can count Jacob's descendants, as numerous as dust? Who can count even a fourth of Israel's people? Let me die like the righteous. Let my life end like theirs. Then King Balak demanded of Balaam, what have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies. Instead, you've blessed them. But Balaam replied, I will speak only the message that his Lord puts in my mouth. Then King Balak told him, come with me to another place. There you will see another part of the nation of Israel, but not all of them. Curse at least that many. Balak took Balaam to the plateau of the Zophim and Pisgah Peak. He built 7 altars there and offered a young bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to the king, stand here by your burnt offerings while I go there to meet the Lord. And the Lord met Balaam and gave him a message, and he said, go back and tell Balak the same thing, basically, give me my message. Balaam returned and found the king standing beside the burnt offering with all the officials of Moab. What did thy Lord say? Balak asked eagerly. This was the message Balaam delivered. Rise up, Balak, and listen. Hear me, son of Zippor. God is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change his mind. Has he ever spoken and failed to act? Has he ever promised and not carried it through? Listen, I received a command to bless. God has blessed, and I cannot reverse it. No misfortune is in this plan for Jacob. No trouble is in the store for Israel. For the Lord their God is with them. He has been proclaimed their king. God brought them out of Egypt. For them, He is as strong as a wild ox. No curse can touch Jacob. No magic has any power against Israel. For now it will be said of Jacob, what wonders God has done for Israel. These people rise up like a lioness, like a majestic lion rousing itself. They refuse to rest until they have feasted on prey, drinking the blood of the slaughtered. Then Balak said to Balaam, "Fine, but if you won't curse them, at least don't bless them." But Balaam replied to Balak, "I didn't tell you that I can only do what the Lord tells me." Then, go back one verse. Let me read that one more time. But Balaam replied to Balak, "Didn't I tell you that I can only do what the Lord tells me?" Then King Balak said to Balaam, "Come, I will take you to the one more place. Perhaps it will please God to let you curse them from here." Balak took Balaam to the top of the Mount Peor, overlooking the wasteland. Balaam again told Balak, "Build me 7 altars and prepare 7 young bulls, 7 rams for me to sacrifice." Balak did, and Balaam ordered an offering bull and offered a young bull and a ram on each altar. Watch this. By now, Balaam realized that the Lord was determined to bless Israel, so he did not resort to divination as before. Instead, look what he did. He turned and looked out toward the wilderness, where he saw the people of Israel, camped tribe by tribe. Then the Spirit of God came upon him. And this is the message he delivered. This is the message of Balaam, son of Beor, the message of the man whose eyes see clearly, the message of one who hears the words of God, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob. How lovely are your homes, O Israel. They spread before me like palm tree groves, like gardens by the riverside. They are all like trees planted by the Lord, like cedars besides the water. Water will flow from their buckets. Their offspring have all they need. Their king will be greater than Agag, and their kingdom will be exalted. God brought them out of Egypt. For them he is as strong as a wild ox. He devours all the nations that oppose him, breaking their bones in pieces, shooting them with arrows. Like a lion, Israel crouches and lies down, like a lioness who dares to arouse her. Blessed is everyone who blesses you, O Israel, and cursed is everyone who curses you. King Balak flew into a rage against Balaam. He angrily clapped his hands and shouted, "I called you to curse my enemies. Instead, you have blessed them 3 times. Now get out of here, go back home. I promise to reward you richly, but the Lord has kept you from your reward." Balaam told Balak, "Don't you remember what I told your messengers I said? Even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with silver and gold, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of the Lord. I told you that. I can only say what the Lord says. Now I'm returning to my own people, but first let me tell you what the Israelites will do to your people in the future." This is the message Balaam delivered. This is the message of Balaam, son of Beor, the message of a man whose eyes see clearly. The message of one who hears the words of God, who knowledge of the Most High, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with his eyes wide open. I see him, but not here and now. I perceive him, but far in the distant future. A star will rise from Jacob. Listen to this. This is prophecy of the Messiah. A star will rise from Jacob. A scepter will emerge from Israel. It will crush the heads of Moab's people, cracking the skulls of the people of Sheth. Edom will be taken over, and Seir, its enemy, will be conquered, while Israel marches on in triumph. A ruler will rise in Jacob who will destroy the survivors of Ur. Then Balaam looked over toward the people of Amalek and delivered the message. Amalek was the greatest of the nations, but its destiny is in destruction. Then he looked over and told the Kenites and delivered the message. Your home is secure. Your nest is set in the rocks. But the Kenites will be destroyed when Assyria takes you captive. Balaam concluded his messages by saying, Alas, who can survive unless God has willed it? Ships will come from the coasts of Cyprus. No, back up one here. One more. Balaam concluded his message by saying, Alas, who can survive unless God has willed it? Ships will come from the coasts of Cyprus. They will oppress Assyria and afflict Eber, but they too will be utterly destroyed. Then Balaam left and returned home, and Balak also went on his way. While the Israelites were camped at Acacia Grove, some of the men defiled themselves by having sexual relations with local Moabite women. These women invited them to attend sacrifices of their gods, so the Israelites feasted with them and worshiped the gods of Moab. In this way, Israel joined in the worship of Baal of Peor, causing the Lord's anger to blaze against his people. The Lord issued the following command to Moses: seize all the ringleaders and execute them before the Lord in broad daylight, so the fierce anger will turn away from the people of Israel. Moses ordered all the judges, Israel's judges, each of you must put to death the men under your authority to have joined in worship Baal of Peor. Now here's what happened. Let me just break this down just a little bit for you. What happened was Balaam was a prophet that God, whatever Balaam really said, God did. If he blessed him, they blessed. If he cursed him, he cursed. So Balaam went and intrigued God and said, hey, what do I do? God says, don't curse him. You bless him. God blessed, and Balaam blessed him. Even in spite of all the money, all the palaces, all the riches, all that Balak was trying to get him. Balak was so afraid of the Israelites that he had to have them. He knew he needed something supernatural because they were bigger and badder, and they were more. And he was afraid that they were going to take over his entire nation because he had done that. They had done that in so many other places. So he really inquired internally from a prophet of God to get Balaam to curse him. Here's what happened. Balaam didn't do it. 3 different times he said, hey, not happening. But he tells them where they are and how they are. He's up on this big high hill looking, and Balaam's telling him kind of where they are. Down here's some down here, here's some down here, and he's speaking of them. Well, they couldn't beat him and overtake him with the army. They weren't bigger than them. But here's what they did. They put the women down in there. And when they put the women down in there, the women began to mix with the men. The men let their guard down because of the woman. They began to now worship and attend things they shouldn't have been attending because the woman had a way of luring the men into a place that caused them to not be so focused. Right? Okay? Now, when I say the women, I'm not talking about just the sex of a woman. I'm talking about the sensual side of a person. Sensuality, which is your senses, can seduce you into a place that you shouldn't be. It'll cause you to go down. Let me give you an example. Let's say you know what's right and what's wrong. You're saying, that's not me. I'm not doing that anymore. My life's over in that area. I'm not doing that. I'm on this path. God's blessed me, and I'm headed down this way. The enemy, which is Balak, the enemy will come in and plant people in your life that draw out a brokenness or desire or sensitivity of something about you. For example, let's say you're a kind of person that needs to be affirmed. You need people's approval. That's just your thing. You've got to have people's approval. Well, the enemy will bring somebody in your life, even though you're steadfast on doing what's right, he'll bring somebody in your life that you become emotionally attached to that gives you that approval. And when they give you that approval, as long as you're giving that approval, you begin to get sucked into the life that insecurity is driving. Am I talking, making sense? You get pulled in. And then people get pulled in, and when they get pulled in, then they begin to make decisions, and they forget where they were headed, because now their focus is divided between, and they're split in their mind where they desire to go, where they want to be, where they know what's right, but this thing now emotionally has got them attached and hold of them. So, I see this happen all the time. Somebody's a good example, practical example, but it's a very good one. A guy I know, senior in high school, had a full ride to play ball at a college, full ride. But he was dating a junior in high school. So it was a college close to home. So instead of going and playing ball for 4 years at a place to get his college education paid for, this girl had such a hold on him that he was in love, he had a future with her, and I think it connected to him. So what he ended up doing was passing on the full ride, staying close to home. He gets to be a sophomore. She now comes a freshman in college. They break up. It's over. And he's looking back going, man. And he can't go back and get that time back and get that scholarship back again. You want to see what I'm talking about? The enemy will bring people in your life. You got a job. You're doing well. Things are doing great. You're focused. Here they come. Next thing you know, you're drifting. You're drifting. Why? Because the enemy knows exactly how to poke at and pull at your weak area that causes you to be what looks like complete, but you're really not complete. Amen. When you're insecure, you need to be approved, you're lonely, got to have a girl, got to have a guy, got to have, whatever it is, got to have money, whatever it is. Ministry, you got to be in ministry. And somebody will come and lure you along, and they'll lure you along, and it'll pull you and just draw you right in, and before you know it, you're there, and you sold out for a moment of dollars, of love, of intimacy, whatever it was that you sold out for was this brief time. And then you find yourself, oh my God, how in the world did I get here? And you're too deep because you've already burned a bridge over here, and now you're here, and you're going to try to make the best of a bad situation, and you can't go back because you've come too far to go here. And these people are mad at you now because they kept telling you all along you're making bad decisions. I know I'm talking to somebody. Amen. And here you are. And you go, gosh, now what do I do? Well, you can't go back. Here's what happens. Just then one of the Israelite men brought a Midianite woman into the tent, right before the eyes of Moses and all the people, as everyone was weeping at the entrance. Why were they weeping? Because they knew the condition of the place. And what caused, God did not curse them. They got sucked in themselves. They were blessed. You can be blessed by God, and you can function in a curse. Man, that's tough. When Phinehas, son of Eleazar, and grandson of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he jumped up and left the assembly and took a spear. What's this? And rushed after the man into his tent. Phinehas thrust the spear all the way through the man's body and into the woman's stomach. And I don't think they were standing side by side. You hear me? So the plague against the Israelites was stopped. They were in the act. But not before, look at this, 24,000 people had died. Here's what happens. We're in the new covenant. We're in the New Testament. Jesus has already come back. Jesus has been here, died for your sins. You are blessed. You're blessed because he says you're blessed. Yes. You decide to nestle up with the world, nestle up with things that are sensual, sensus-based, makes you feel good, taste good. I like that. It does something to me. It makes my heart feel warm. There's things here, and before you know it, you're connected. You're sucked in. And then you're sucked in, but here's the problem. You're sucked into a bad environment and bad relationships, bad situation. Then, excuse me, then you have to go over here and go, but I don't understand because I'm blessed. No, you're blessed. You just walked out of that blessing into sensual cursing. Okay? Here's what happened. Because of that, you begin to make decisions over here that don't just affect you. 24,000 people were killed. It affected the entire family of Jacob. Yeah. It'll affect your kids. It'll affect your spouses. It'll affect your parents. It affects everybody around you. And the only way to deal with that is you become calloused and hard in your heart and not look at them. Because when you start looking around you, the people that are affected by it, it hurts your heart. So the only way for you to even cope with that hurt is to not look at it and justify, okay, it's the way it is. Amen. I'm preaching today. I can feel it. Right? But you're blessed. You're blessed. So you got to stay in the place of blessing, which means you got to disconnect from anything that will bring the curse. And it's not the curse of God. It's the curse of the fallen world. Amen. God blesses and only blesses. Then the Lord, but if you're out of here, he can't bless what you curse. So then the Lord said to Moses, Numbers 25:10, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, and grandson of Aaron the priest, has turned my anger away from Israelites. See, they stopped him by being as zealous among them as I was. So I stopped destroying all Israel, as I intended to do in my zealous anger. Now tell him that I am making my special covenant of peace with him. In this covenant, I give him and his descendants a permanent right to the priesthood. This is Phinehas and Hophni, okay? I give him the permanent right to the priesthood, for in his zeal for me, his God, he purified the people of Israel, making them right with me. The Israelite man killed with a Midianite woman, look, what's this? Was named Zimri, son of Salu, the leader of the family from the tribe of Simeon. Now the word Simeon, you got to know this, the word Simeon means to hear and listen. Okay? The woman's name was Cosbi. She was the daughter of Zur, the leader of a Midianite clan. So this is affecting top-level people. Then the Lord said to Moses, attack the Midianites and destroy them, because they assaulted you with the deceit and tricked you into worshiping Baal. See what they did? It was a plan of Balaam, because there's nothing that could have stopped the Israelites from being blessed. Balaam knew he had to get them to turn on themselves. He could not do anything to them to stop the blessing of the Lord. But what he could do is pull them out from underneath that blessing by them doing things and connecting with things that are under the curse, that are sensual, right? Yep. He got him, he put the women in there. And I say that the women doesn't mean necessarily just women. I mean, it does mean women, but it means the sensuality of the feminine seduction side of your emotions. So you feel, and it's real clear, you feel insecure. She makes me feel secure. He makes me feel secure. You feel anxious. Oh, they just give me strength. You see what I'm talking about? It's people in your life that draw you into a place where they fulfill you more than he fulfills you. It's a dangerous place to be. Okay? Because they assaulted you with deceit and trick. And then because the whole idea was to get them in that place, because then they could talk you into anything. You don't need to go to church. You don't need to go to meetings. Y'all don't need to do that. You don't need to be. I need you home. You've done your time at the farm. I need you home. We need to be. You're going, well, it makes sense. You're right. I got responsibilities there. Shh. Get sucked right into it. See what I'm saying? The deceit and trickery, and the woman doesn't know Balaam is using him. She's just being who she is. And the tricked her into worshiping Baal of Peor. And because of Cosbi, the daughter of Midianite leader who was killed at the time of the plague because of what happened at Peor. What's this? After the plague had ended, the Lord said to Moses and to Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, from the whole community of Israel, record the names of all the warriors by their families. List all the men 20 years old or older who were able to go to war. This thing's about to get on. They're on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River. We're talking beside the river. It'd be like, and I've been there, it would be like 3rd Avenue and the Ohio River. That's how close. Okay? And just on the other side of 3rd Avenue, and we're talking, that river and the Jordan River is a fraction of the width of the river, of the Ohio River. A fraction. I mean, in our vernacular, it'd almost be like a creek. Okay? And that's the only thing that separated these people from going over to the promised land. That's the land that God has for you, but here you are over here. So they're on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River across from Jericho. I mean, you could see it. And Moses and Eleazar, the priests, issue these instructions to the leader of Israel. What's this? This is so good. List all the men of Israel, 20 years old and older, just as the Lord commanded Moses. This is the record of the descendants of Israel who came out of Egypt. These were the clans descended from the sons of Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, the Hanashite clan, named after their ancestors Hanok, the Paluite clan, named after their ancestor Palu. The Hezrite clan, named after their ancestor Hezron, the Carmite clan, named after their ancestor Carmi. These were the clans of Reuben. The registered troops numbered 43,730. Palu was the ancestor of Eliab. Eliab was the father of Nemuel, Dathan and Abiram. The Dathan and Abiram are the same community leaders who conspired with Korah against Moses, and the earth fell up. Remember that? Rebelling against God, and the earth swallowed them up and killed them all. But the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed them with Korah, and the fire devoured 250 of the followers. This served as a warning to the entire nation of Israel. However, the sons of Korah did not die that day. These were the clans descended from the sons of Simeon. Let's just keep going. And again, these were 22,200 Simeonites. Keep going. Again, one more. 40,500 from Gad. 76,500 from Judah. 64,300 from Issachar. That's a lot of people. 60,500 from Zebulun. Yeah, keep going. 52,700 from Manasseh, which was one of Joseph's sons. 32,500 from Ephraim. Should be about finished with this there. There we go. 45,600 from Benjamin. Dan's the judges. Let's keep going. 64,400 from the Shumalites. Sarah. Okay, let's go back there. We'll read this. Asher also had a daughter named Sarah. These were the clans of Asher. Their registered troops numbered 3,400. We'll fast forward there. 45,400 from Naphtali. Total troops of Israelite numbered, look at this, 601,730 people. Then the Lord said to Moses, divide the land among the tribes and distribute the grants of the land in proportion to the tribe's population, as indicated by the numbers of the names of the list on the list. Give the larger tribes more land and the smaller tribes less land, each group receiving a grant in proportion to the size of the population. Now, Moses has got all these people. He numbered them all. There's 13 tribes, basically, and you've got, how are we going to do this? You got all these tribes. You had 12 tribes, but Joseph had 2 sons. So you had spreading this thing out. Now God's telling Moses, look, give bigger portions of land to people that have the more people. So now he's ready to give this grant in proportion to the size of its population. Now watch this. But you must assign the land by lot and give land to each ancestral tribe according to the number of the names on the list. Each grant of land must be assigned by lot among the larger and smaller tribal groups. This is the record of the Levites who were counted according to their clans. Let's just skip through all that. Let's just keep going. Here we go, right here. But Nadab and Abihu died when they burned before the Lord the wrong kind of fire. You guys remember that in the Exodus, in Leviticus. Different than he had commanded. The men from the Levite clans who were 1 month old or older numbered 23,000, but the Levites were included in the registration of the rest of the people because they were given the allotment of land. They were not given allotment of land when it was divided among the Israelites. Remember, they didn't get land because they got the Lord. So these people are the results of the registration of the people of Israel are conducted by Moses and Eleazar the priest on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River across from Jericho. Not one person on that list had been among those listed in the previous registration taken by Moses and Aaron in the wilderness of Sinai. For the Lord had said to them, they will all die in the wilderness. Not one of them survived except Caleb and Joshua. One day a petition, here we go. I'll end with this. One day a petition was presented by the daughters of Zelophehad, Mela, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Their father, Zelophehad, was a descendant of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, which was the son of Joseph. These women stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the tribal leaders, and the entire community at the entrance of the tabernacle. Our father died in the wilderness, they said. He was not among Korah's followers who rebelled against the Lord. He died because of his own sin. But listen to this, he had no sons. Why should the name of our fathers disappear from this clan just because he had no sons? give us property along with the rest of our relatives. Moses brought their case before the Lord. They had a good case. And the Lord said to Moses, replied to Moses, the claim of the daughters of Zelophehad is legitimate. You must give them a grant of land along with their father's relatives. Assign them the property that would have been given to their father. And give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If a man, look at this, if a man dies and has no son, then give his inheritance, and I'm going to stay here for just a minute, I have to, and give his inheritance to his daughters. And give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If a man dies and has no son, then give his inheritance to his daughters. If a man dies, who died? Jesus. Did he have any kids? Then give his inheritance to his daughters. Here's the challenge. Did he have any daughters? Watch this. Next verse. And if he has no daughter either, transfer his inheritance to his brother. You see that?
Amen. Amen.
If a man dies and he has no sons, give him to his daughters. If he doesn't have a daughter, then transfer it to his brothers.
Amen.
You remember last week what we talked about?
Yes. Yes.
Jesus is our elder brother.
Amen. Glory to God.
He doesn't have a son, and he doesn't have a daughter. But he has brothers, which is us.
Yes.
So because he doesn't transfer all of his inheritance to his brothers.
Yes.
Is there verse 10? If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brothers. But if his father has no brothers, give his inheritance to the nearest relative to his clan. This is a legal requirement for the people of Israel, just as the Lord commanded Moses. Man, there's a lot in that right there.
Amen. Amen.
If you would see yourself as a brother,
Yes.
and Jesus is a friend that sticks closer than a brother.
Yes.
If you see yourself as his brother, you are given or receive all of his inheritance.
Yes. Amen.
If you don't, it'll bypass you and go someplace else.
That's right.
But it's up to you. Make sense? It's good stuff. See you guys in a few minutes.